and welcome everyone to today's webinar on open enrollment using ERP Suites Mobility. My name is Eric Poff. I lead the advisory practice at ERP Suites. Today I'm joined by Marta DiDomenico, who will demonstrate the open enrollment and employee self-service applications. As Diane mentioned during the webinar, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A option and ask your question there. At the end of the webinar, we will do our best to answer all of those questions. If you are not familiar with ERP Suites, we are a full service and solution provider for your ERP application. Headquartered just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, we have associates across the United States from New York to Hawaii. We offer managed services, cloud services, consulting, as well as an advisory practice where we help our clients get the most out of their ERP investment. When it comes to mobility, there are two sides, the consumer world and the enterprise world. When I say consumer world, I am referring to the everyday applications that we use on our mobile devices, such as our favorite map application for driving directions, as well as apps like Uber. As consumers, we have come to rely on those apps every day. Now, contrast that with the enterprise world, which is our corporate or business persona. And when it comes to the enterprise world, mobility is often considered a nice to have instead of a must have. And as you might imagine, the enterprise mobility world has its challenges. So to understand those challenges, let's take a closer look at the evolution of an ERP system. This graphic here has been adopted from a presentation Oracle provided probably over a year ago. We like to use it a lot because we think it sums up this evolution of an ERP system, where starting point is this traditional ERP, very transactional, a system of record. Think of people sitting behind their desks, behind keyboards, doing their jobs, entering data. As new capabilities and functionality is added to the enterprise environment, we can move to the right, and we're now into this digital platform for an ERP system. This is where we see mobile, we see the Internet of Things, as well as collaboration. Continue to move to the right, we have more intelligence and more automation. We're now into the supervised ERP, where we have RPA, which is robotic process automation, voice, as well as assisted decision-making. And then finally, the holy grail, if you will, the autonomous ERP, machine learning, automated decision-making, AI. In this space, and in this bucket out here in the autonomous ERP, the system is doing the majority of the work, and us humans are left to handle the outliers and what's left over. Of course, most people want to get to that far right. Sounds exciting, sounds great, sounds very futuristic. The sad reality is most customers and probably many people on here are still to that far left, either in that traditional ERP or maybe just on the fringes of that digital platform. We like to say at ERP Suites, mobile is at the heart of digital transformation. And with the current capabilities available within JD Edwards, enterprise mobility is within reach. Now let's take a look at a few trends in the HCM space that favor a mobile approach. So the first trend, the need to simplify the experience. So in one survey here, 60% of employers they want to invest in these self-service programs. So let the employees navigate themselves, use the applications themselves to do their benefit selection open enrollment process. Good news is our mobility solution is a user-friendly interface. So it puts the employee at the forefront of the application and lets them do the open enrollment process on a mobile device, as well as there's a web option as well. The second trend we're seeing is employees want choices. So more employers are now offering more choices, not just a high deductible health plan. So with more choices, that means employees need more information. Again, the good news is our mobility solution provides a very easy way to compare new plan costs against your current costs. And we'll show that today. The next trend, women make 80% of the healthcare and buying and usage decisions. I can say this is true in my household. All of our health decisions mostly are made by my wife. What that means is we're either looking over each other's shoulders on a computer, because I have my health information, she has her health information, printing things out and going back and forth. The good news is with our mobile solution, all that information is right there, right in front, so it can be shared and it can be made by the decision maker. And lastly, the mobile trend is probably not as surprising, but this uptick in the amount of time that an individual spends on their mobile device. So the business is saying, hey, with this uptick in the amount of hours that people are spending, we need to stay competitive. So we need to offer these mobile solutions to our users. And again, the good news about our mobility offering is it is a mobile-first application designed for people on the go, away from the office. So wherever your users are, mobility is there with them. So how does mobility transform the open enrollment process? Well, let's first say, what is mobility? Well, mobility is a native mobile application designed for iOS and Android devices. That means you can go to any of those app stores and find our application in there. It is not a copy of what you see in JDE Edwards. So it's not just rewritten for a smaller form factor or a smaller device. It is built from the ground up to be mobile. So mobile first, and is built to be intuitive and user-friendly. Within mobility, there's this concept of a micro app. And the best way to understand the micro app concept is to think about those functions within JDE Edwards. Think of PO approval. Well, that would be a micro app. Think of customer lookup. That would be a micro app. Think of work order processing, changing statuses, all those different functions that are available within JDE Edwards can be a micro app within mobility. And open enrollment is one such micro app. So now I'm going to introduce Marta and ask her to walk us through the open enrollment and employee self-service app within mobility.
Thank you, Eric. Hello, everyone. My name is Marta DiDomenico. I have been working with the JDE Edwards Human Capital Management product for the last 20 plus years, most of them as an HR consultant doing implementations, training, upgrades, and of course, employee self-service. When we at ERP Suites decided that we were going to produce some mobility apps for HCM, we wanted to make sure that those apps were user-friendly and also straightforward. Some of the things that we had heard from customers about the employee self-service, some of the complaints were, why do I have to click through all of these screens to submit my enrollment, even though I'm only making one change? This is a common complaint. The next one is, I stopped halfway through to look up my dependent social security number and I lost everything. This one is also very common because a lot of people don't remember their dependent social security number and they have to go and look them up, and when they come back, their screen they've been kicked out of the application. The third one, when am I going to log in? I'm in the field all day. So a lot of employees do not have desktops or laptops at home. So in order to do their open enrollment, they have to go into the office, and this can cause an issue depending on where that employee is and where their office is located. So what we have done is we have produced some mobility micro apps. And today we're going to show you 3 demos. The first one is the employee inquiry apps. In the employee inquiry apps, we have the ability for the employee to go in and check their personal information, their contact information, their tax information, their compensation information, and their current benefits information. The second demo is the actual open enrollment, where we are going to show you how to step through the open enrollment on a mobile device. In this demo, we are going to show you all of the different categories that are available to the employee. We're going to show you how to choose the plan that you want to enroll in, as well as how to add dependents and beneficiaries and how to make changes to beneficiary allocations. And the third demo is the Mobility Web app, which is basically the companion to the Mobility Open Enrollment app, except it's the web version. So some people don't like to use their mobility devices for transactions, or maybe the screen is too small and they want to see it on a larger screen, so they would be using this mobility web app instead. So this is, the first one is our employee inquiries. We see a screen here that has a couple of boxes on it. We want to change the look and feel. We can go up to the top and click on that box, and we see now the apps listed. Here are the apps that Joe Walsh has. Joe is going to click on personal information, which shows some basic personal information. Then exiting out of here, we can see address and contact information. This is where Joe can see his address information, his physical address information, as well as his emergency contacts. If he clicks up at the top, emergency contacts, and then he can scroll down to the bottom and see all of the remaining emergency contacts. So exiting out of here, we have compensation information. This is an inquiry screen where the employee can go and see their information about annual salary, their hourly rate, and their pay frequency. Exiting out of here, we can go and look at tax information, also known as W-4 information. And here we display, for federal, state, and local levels, marital status and any additional withholding for tax. Exiting out of here, we're going to go to look at job information, which is going to display the employee's job as well as the employee's supervisor and some date information about employment. We're going to exit from here. And the next thing we're going to click on is benefits information. The benefits information shows the current enrollment, all of the benefits in which this employee is currently enrolled, along with the deduction amounts, participation dates, and eligibility dates. We're going to exit from here. And we're going to go down to the next demo. This is a demo for open enrollment. Again, we have the same screen, the same entry screen. And if we click on Employee Self-Service, we are going to see the same screen as we saw before, except now we're going to click on Open Enrollment. And we see this introductory screen, which is completely customizable. So let's get started. Here we have a display of all the benefits to which my employee can enroll. We have a medical benefits with an explanation screen, which is also completely customizable. We click on Continue. We are going to go ahead and select the PPO plus family election. This shows us a cost per paycheck, We're going to go ahead and add a new dependent. So we type in the dependent name, the relationship, and the dependent's birthday. So here I have a drop-down, which relationship to choose, and also a calendar where I can type in the date of birth. Typing in my date of birth, and I click on OK, and then submit. Then I choose which dependents I want to enroll in my medical plan. Then I go ahead and up at the top, I click on Save. Now what I'm going to see is the medical plan is highlighted in green on the previous screen because that means that a choice has been made. Also up at the top, I see my new cost per paycheck. Now I'm going to choose dental benefits. I'm going to go ahead and choose employee plus only, but it produces an error because the minimum allowed dependence is 1. So I have to click on that dependent and then I can save it. Now dental benefits is highlighted, my cost per paycheck has increased. Next, I'm going to go ahead and enroll in my vision benefits. Go ahead and click my option. It tells me my previous year election at the top. Click on that, save. Now my vision is also highlighted along with my cost per paycheck that has been updated. I'm going to go ahead and choose some life insurance. And now it shows me what beneficiaries that I have already in my record. I'll go ahead and change my percentage allocations. 75 and 25% still has to add up to 100. Go ahead and click on Save. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose long-term disability. $4.90 a paycheck. That increases my amount up at the top of the screen. And I'm going to go choose short-term disability. And I'm going to save that. Go back to my previous screen. And now I'm going to go ahead and look at this and say, yep, this looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and review my changes. Once I click on Review Changes, I will see a comparison of my current benefits on the left and my new benefits on the right. I can look at that, and then up at the top of the screen I see a download button, which I can download into a PDF. And at this point I can also email it to myself, or I can go back to my regular screen. And here I can go ahead and submit my changes. And the next demo that we wanted to show you is the web version of the mobility app, of the Open Enrollment Mobility app that we just saw. Here is the screen. It looks exactly like the mobility app with an introductory screen. We can go ahead and get started. Same layout as before. We choose the medical category. We're going to go ahead and add a dependent just like we did before. Same thing, add the name, add the relationship, and add the birth date. Once I click on my edit, it takes me to enter the date directly instead of using a calendar. And then I submit that information, and I choose my dependents that I want to cover. Go ahead and I save it. Then I do the same thing for dental. Choose my dental plan. Then I'm going to go ahead and choose my vision plan. Notice, same thing here. We have the previous year election at the top, and we have the green highlights on the plans that have already been selected. I'm going to choose life insurance coverage. It's going to display the same screen with my existing beneficiaries, and I can make a change to the allocation. I'm going to change Cynthia to 70% and Jacob to 30%. Also has to add up to 100%. I'm going to save this. I'm going to go choose long-term disability. Click on long-term disability, save it. See my previous year election at the top. And I'm going to go ahead and choose vacation buy. Vacation buy, the previous year I had no selection, so I'm not sure if I want to choose it or not. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and, yes, choose it. Choose vacation buy. I'm going to save. Now I have all of my elections done. can go ahead and I can review my changes. On the left-hand side, I have my current benefits. On the right-hand side, I have my new benefits. Go ahead, same thing. I can email it to myself, or I can just go ahead and submit my changes. So those are the 3 demos that we wanted to show you today for open enrollment.
Thank you, Marta.
Thank you.
Yeah. So one of the other areas that we've built in and functionality that we've built into mobility is to handle user management. So we know for many of our customers, there's lots of users out there, either in the office or away from the office, and managing credentials can be a challenge. And so when you talk open enrollment, you may have users who maybe once a year or very infrequently access JD Edwards to perform their open enrollment tasks, as Marta kind of just laid out there. So how can we make that that management easier? So I think the best way to show this capability and this feature within mobility is to walk through a scenario. So in the current or typical situation, you have employee, they're going to try to access open enrollment, let's say through just a standard mobility app, and either they forget their mobility password, they forget their JDE credentials, or their JD Edwards account has been disabled. In one of these scenarios, the typical next step is to call help desk. And from a support point of view, this is not something that people want to get into. So recall some of those earlier trends for HR is more of those concierge, those more of self-service features. So with mobility and one of our latest capabilities and features, we have introduced this password synchronization option. So how does that work? Same scenario, an employee is using our mobility application. They may have forgotten their mobility credentials. They may have forgotten their JD Edwards credentials. They may not even realize they're accessing JD Edwards behind the scenes, and their account has been disabled. So within mobility, there's a reset option. So again, think of those consumer applications that you use where if you've forgotten your Netflix password, you always have the option to, hey, I need to reset it. So very similar here. You can enter in your email address, click the forgot password option, and what that will do is fire off an email with a link in it, and within that link, it takes you to this secure self-service portal. So obviously being the email holder, being the account holder, that's private and secure sent to me. Our portal is private and secure. And here I can reset my password for mobility. And what that will do, it's an option, it's a configurable option. Behind the scenes, using orchestrations, we will update the JD Edwards password and synchronize it with mobility. This will unlock the account in JD Edwards as well. And after that change has been made, the user receives this little window saying synchronizing account, success, the account has been synchronized. And now the user can go back and log back into the mobility application and they're right in. So to them, it's self-service, it's easy for them, it's a less of a burden on your support staff as well. So it's a pretty cool feature that we're really proud of and something that you may find useful as well. So how does mobility support the bigger picture? We bring this up because a little over a month ago, almost 2 months ago, we hosted a webinar specifically for the mobility platform, right, to kind of introduce it out there and talk to our customers about it. And we were fortunate enough to have a product manager from Oracle join us to to share some of the Oracle direction and updates. And we're trying to do our part and share that message with you, with our users as well. So this is a slide from Oracle. We've included a safe harbor statement. But if you are currently using any of the Oracle applications that are provided free of charge and available in the Apple App Store or Google Play, there's some changes coming. There's been a change in direction from the Oracle side. So they're going to slowly release those as new operating system versions for Apple and Google come out. Those will start to be removed from the stores and slowly depreciated. Of course, Oracle will still provide support through a period of time, but then afterwards, that'll be going away. So if you are using those applications, it's something to be aware about and start to make plans accordingly. And Oracle has their direction and their guidance is to leverage more of AIS, which is a technical server. So some of you who may not be technical on the call, it's part of your tools release. So it's something that's included with your JD Edwards tools, as well as orchestrations, which again is a technical capability that's part of your tools and just part of staying current with JD Edwards. Those are available to you, and Oracle says, hey, this is the way to go. Use orchestrations, and then use whatever front end you want. Oracle provides a visual cloud builder service. We have been doing mobility like this for several years now, so we're familiar with it, and that's the way mobility operates as well. And so what are some of the features that mobility offers? Again, mentioned before, it's a mobile-first experience. It's designed from the ground up to be mobile. We know security when you're talking about an enterprise mobility solution in that enterprise world. Security has to be involved, right? So there's advanced security options, both on the back end and for the user. Real-time JD Edwards integration. So you saw the demonstration that Marta walked through as she was selecting her benefits, clicking that save button. That was updating JD Edwards in real time. I mentioned this orchestration capability. So with orchestrations, just about anything is possible. Anything that you can do within JD Edwards. If you have a very complex business process, the best way to mobilize that business process is to leverage orchestrations. And mobility can take advantage of those orchestrations and deliver to your users wherever they are. Which brings us to the digital transformations, right? So it's productivity challenges that your users and that our users are experiencing. Mobility can deliver solutions for that, which then brings us to deliver the ROI. So many of our customers are looking to do upgrades and tools release upgrades, and they're trying to show the ROI and the benefit and of the tools release. And using something like mobility to help deliver new capabilities to the business users helps deliver that ROI. So you might have some questions, and we're trying to think ahead here, and maybe there's some common questions. So here's some of the answers to maybe some of your common questions. First, do users need a VPN client on their device? And the good answer, the answer is no. So fortunately, there's using mobility, your users, your employees, they do not need another set of software on their device, mainly a VPN to connect. Behind the scenes, our mobility platform connects to your JD Edwards platform, and there's a couple different ways, and they're very technical ways of doing that, but it's not difficult at all, and it's all secure. So doing that connection between our platform, our cloud, and your JD Edwards environment is simple and secure, which means your employees do not need a VPN client. What data is stored on a user's device? Within mobility, we only store really just configuration settings for employees. for those personal people. And those are things such as your preferences, like a save password option, a dark or light mode, or if an employee chooses to use biometrics, fingerprint or iris scanning, those preferences are saved. Again, all interaction between mobility and JD Edwards is performed in real time. So that means there's no data that's cached from JD Edwards on a mobile device. So if a mobile device is stolen or lost, you can rest assured that there's no corporate information that mobility is storing on that device. I alluded to this a little bit, but what security features are available? So first and foremost, mobility requires an authentication. So users must authenticate into the mobility application. At that time, users also can set a preference for biometrics, as well as multi-factor authentication. So we can use things such as Google Authenticator or a PIN challenge, right? So it adds an extra layer of security. And then all communication. These are things that employees don't see, but this is how the mobile application performs behind the scenes. It's all done over HTTPS, and so the S stands for secure. So all that communication is encrypted going over HTTPS. And I mentioned it earlier as well, is that each time a user is within mobility and they're accessing JD Edwards, they're accessing it as themselves, which means that all JD Edwards security is honored. So when you set up security for your employees within JD Edwards, all that security is honored. So if you lock people out of certain applications or row security within JD Edwards, all of that is still honored. It's all coming through mobility, and you don't have to reinvent it in mobility. It's just part of the way we interface into JD Edwards. All that security comes over. And what if I don't have Orchestrator Studio installed? So this is some of those capabilities with your newer tools release I mentioned. AIS, which is another virtual server, if you will, is required. So that is the special sauce that allows JD Edwards to be accessed programmatically. That is required. Orchestrator Studio is not necessarily required, but we highly, highly recommend it. A lot of the solutions that you saw today with open enrollment are built on orchestrations, and that allows us to configure it for your environment. So you can take all the work that we've done through orchestrations, deploy it to your environment, and the time to get up to speed is very fast. So if you're interested in the open enrollment application or anything within mobility, how can you get started? You call us, get a hold of us. We've been more than happy to sit down and understand your specific environment and requirements. We can also set up what we do a virtual workshop to define your mobile strategy. So maybe you want to start with open enrollment, but go even bigger. Maybe you have executives out there that you want to target and help them and perform their job better, right? You want to give them simple applications on their mobile device, approve, reject, those types of things. Call us. We can do a virtual workshop to help you define that mobile strategy. And then, of course, on all our social platforms and channels, follow us. We are putting out blog postings, tips and tricks, as well as little demos, videos for some of our micro apps is all out there. So go ahead and follow us, and be certain to check out our website as well for all types of information. So I want to thank you for joining us today. Again, if you do have any information, if you want to follow up, you can get a hold of Al Tyree, who leads our mobile sales efforts. I'd be more than happy to work with you and get you in touch with the right people.